CS Artists. My name's Claudia and I'm a senior at a specialized high school for the arts, and welcome to part 3 of my Spotlight series. As I've stated before, the purpose of this series is to encourage my peers to pursue their desired fine or performing art beyond high school. So in order to help them out, we'll be covering writing, acting, instrumental music, dance, musical theater, vocal arts, and production and design. So today's podcast, we'll focus on careers that have to do with the visual arts, and I'd like to welcome my guest, Janet Recchia.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. A graduate of Syracuse University, Janet has a BFA in illustration with an emphasis in fashion. Janet began her career as a fashion illustrator in New York City, where she worked for over 17 years in the industry for top advertising agencies, magazines, and designers. So relocating to Los Angeles in 1997, Janet taught art in her studio for 15 years, focusing on foundational skills, portfolio, and art and design college planning. Since 2011, Janet has been working for Syracuse University as the Assistant Director in Southern California admissions and as a specialist for the College of Visual and Performing Arts. So to begin, why don't you talk a little bit about your career?
Oh boy. Well, as you stated very nicely, I am a graduate of Syracuse University. My main focus when I went to college was to become a working illustrator. And I wanted to find a university that would enable me to not only be a working illustrator, but give me the skills to be able to create my own business and also excellent marketing skills. And on top of that, just a great campus life. So that was my intent in the beginning. When I finally reached my goals of graduation, I did go on to some freelance illustration as a fashion artist, and it worked out beautifully. I was soon hired on staff full-time for a designer, and that lasted for about a year because my freelance jobs got to be overwhelming, and I was doing that on top of working full-time for a designer. So I left my job as a full-time staff artist and went full-time freelance with an agent in New York, and I proceeded to do that for the next 15 years. And it was a wonderful career. I continued to do that outside of New York City. Most of my work was located inside New York City, but as I progressed, and also I married my college sweetheart, who was also an illustration major. I went on to have some children and got very involved with teaching art as well, but still illustrating, which brought me to California because my husband was hired by DreamWorks as an animator. And so that brought me to California. So I did leave my freelance career in New York and started to do some here in California. Actually was going to go into costume illustration and started my journey and got a little detoured again with the teaching. The word got out that I was an illustrator, and I was asked to do a lot of volunteering designers. So I started cultivating and nurturing that within them. And as I was doing that, I was also working with students like you who wanted to pursue that career in the arts. And that led me into portfolio development. And I got very involved in portfolio development and actually reached out to my university, because I knew that Syracuse University had an excellent NASAT-accredited College of Visual and Performing Arts. And I was aware that they would probably be in the area with the upcoming art events and conventions and the National Portfolio Day. And then we met, and my students met with them, and the rest is history. Within a month, I was asked to join the team. As an admissions counselor specializing in the arts. I was overwhelmed and excited by the opportunity. Never really had that in my plan, but decided to give it a try part-time. And here I am today now, almost like 7 years later, Assistant Director of Southern California Admissions. But my specialty is still the arts.
talking, going back to fashion illustration, so that's obviously a part of the field in visual arts that people can go to. So can you talk a little bit about the atmosphere or, things that you were doing when you had that experience and job?
Well, unfortunately, today fashion illustrators are not used as much as they were during the 80s and before that, and the 90s. Today, as you well know, you see photography of illustrations. Illustrations are no longer used in newspapers and magazines. They use photography now. So it's a lot of behind the scenes for that industry now. But I'm told it's coming back, and I think that would be wonderful.
It sounds really amazing that you were able to be surrounded by a very creative environment and was able to develop even more of your skills in that. And I think that's what so many artists now really wish to be in the future, because again, there is that fear that there's a large competition behind it, and it is diva-esque. And I think a lot of people want to think past that. So growing up, were you immediately involved with art? Like, is it something that you sort of knew you wanted to do since you were little?
Yes. I was in the beginning headed towards a standalone art school, and then realizing who I was as a person, I knew I needed a university with an excellent art school inside of it, because I needed to branch out further than just art too.
And with your experience transferring from high school to a college that has a rigorous collegiate studio art program, I guess, what was that like? Was there a big difference between the assignments or maybe the busy work that you had to make up for?
So the one thing that I always tell students, and this is the one thing that hit me when I went to college, first of all, I could do it 24/7. I loved art so much. I could be drawing 24/7. But when you're in the studio classes, it really is almost 24/7. Those studio classes are 6 hours long, and they're broken up like 3 hours in 3 hour increments. And then on top of that, you have your homework, and then finally, your critiques and everything else. So you spend a lot of time in class and working on your projects. So versus maybe the normal 15 hours that a student with an academic more approach to their career plans and would have maybe 15 hours in classes, I would have 27 hours in classes, because the studio classes are longer. So that can be the toughest transition for some students, because they are longer classes. So they have to grow into it. It's a lot of dedication, a lot of focusing, and just being able to pace yourself. Time management can definitely be an issue, because you're in classes so long and you are taking other classes along with it. So all of that is quite the adjustment. But once you find that balance, it's easy. It becomes part of your routine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for the students out there who are sort of looking to find a regular pattern, it's more of a personal thing, obviously, and it's just for them to really see if it fits their schedule and how they can sort of make it suit themselves more.
Correct.
So once they do approach graduation and are planning to be a part of the professional world and field of visual arts, how do students usually take for that? I mean, I guess, how do they best prepare for that? Or what should they be aware of to best prepare themselves for that world?
There's several things. Structure is one of the main things, to create a plan. Depending on the university that you pick, a lot of the programs at that university will help you to transition into that next chapter, into that next journey. Hopefully you've had internships where you understand how it is to work in a team, in an atmosphere where there are not only art jobs to do, but other things to do besides working on your particular project. And internships do help you to learn that skill. The other thing is to be, like I said, very structured but very organized. As artists, sometimes we tend not to be organized because we're so creative and we have all these great ideas all the time. But in order to be successful in any business, you have to be organized, and you have to create a portfolio. Obviously, the portfolio should be tailored to whatever focus you want to go into or whatever job. Now, mind you, that first job might not be your dream job, okay, to go into. So you need to also remain open. Remain open and understand that this is a process, a building process. So that's another thing that you have to understand. It's like the page that works inside of the movie studio, or and then all of a sudden grows up to be the director. It's knowing the behind the scenes and accepting excuse me, my allergies are kind of kicking in here, and accepting the fact that you've got to start at the bottom and build your way up, because as artists we want to be able to do everything we want to do. The creation part is the most important part to us because we're such passionate people. So you have to understand, there is that process, that building process that you have to undertake. So being organized, being open-minded to understand that process, also being structured, having kind of all your ducks in a row, because it's not just about the portfolio, it's about your resume, your presentation, everything else. And hopefully that you've picked a college, a university that will help you to prepare for that, because most students are not just thrown out there, they're prepared for that. Most careers now are art-based careers, so universities and colleges are preparing their students better for that.
So I had a curiosity. How did you choose Syracuse out of your list of colleges to go to? I'm aware that you sort of had your teacher who helped you choose some colleges that might have suited you. How did you narrow it down to Syracuse?
Well, I also had the help of my parents, and especially my dad. So when I started my journey, I was looking at a lot of standalone schools. So Pratt was one of them, Parsons, RISD, even Micah I was looking at too. And as I went on my journey looking at these schools and also being accepted to them, I also was questioning myself in that, not that I didn't want to be an artist, but I wanted to learn or expand and learn other things. That's me, okay? Maybe not for somebody else. So I knew I had good communication skills, but I wanted to learn about marketing. I wanted to learn about, public speaking. I wanted to have a campus life. So there were few and far between universities that actually had really, in my time, now there's a lot more, that had really strong art programs. And I wanted something that was accredited. And so actually in those days, we didn't have the computer. So I went to the library and I looked up different schools, and I found two in particular that were accredited universities that had strong illustration programs and that also offered the fashion focus as a major. And those schools were Drexel University and Syracuse University. So I decided to visit both campuses and to see if this was truly what I want, or maybe did I just want to go to a standalone school. And when I visited both, I knew when I stepped foot on the campus of Syracuse University, I was home. And I say this to all of my students that I advise, you really, if you can, please visit the university, because you'll have that feeling immediately that I can be here for the next 4 years. And loved the program, loved the campus, talked to faculty, and it was just, the decision was made at that point. I knew that's where I wanted to be.
So I think that's really good advice for students to hear, that they really need to research and visit college campuses, just because there is that feeling, that internal feeling that will lead you to decide, that will help you decide which college you go to. And that does have a big impact as you are planning to commit yourself 4 years or more into a new home. And I think that goes to show also that you never know where your path might lead, even if you're not looking for that specific career.
Very good point. Very good point. We are all not so linear. You know, we think we're starting out one way, but it could branch out, right? And that's what happened to me. Because even though you're an artist, that's why it's important to have a lot of skills in place. You know, knowing how to deal with people, knowing how to market, knowing the business. It's all those things are very important to build us as a person, because our career might not be so linear. You could be an artist but then go into consulting. You could be an artist and then be a director of a business or an agency. There's just so many things that can happen along your journey in life, and being open to that is very, very important, but also preparing yourself with different types of skill sets is very important.
And going into more specifically into your job at Syracuse, and you had that teaching experience and helping students out with their portfolio and college planning. So how do you, I guess, help students in college with their portfolios, or if people have questions about that?
So I always advise students to, if they have AP art available in their school, okay, they definitely need to get into that AP art class. The discipline in that class is integral to actually helping to build a portfolio, because in the AP art class, you're required to build a portfolio or build a breadth and a concentration of 24 pieces. So that can give you a really good start on building your portfolio. Now, sometimes AP art's not offered until like junior and senior year. So before that, it's really important to really take any art classes you can inside and outside of school, and also on a daily basis to keep a sketchbook, to keep your skills fresh with observational drawing. All these things not only help to create the portfolio, but help to create the mindset and the thinking process to build not, I don't want to say a style, but a direction in which you want to go into. And it really does start at the very beginning. So as soon as you have that feeling that you want to go into an art-based career, take art classes at your high school. Take advantage of all the resources that are around you. Participate in art shows in your community, and start to get pieces together. The next thing is, when you are finally on this path that, yes, I'm going to be applying to art schools, you need to go to each one of these art schools' websites and find out what are the requirements for a portfolio. Some art schools and universities are looking for a particular requirement for their portfolio. Some want 8 pieces, some want 10 pieces, some want 12 to 20, some want to see mostly all, your focus. Some want to see a mix of things. So it's important when you're building your portfolio to kind of get a feeling what people are looking for. And then the best advice I have is to get a critique of your portfolio, of even if you have 2 or 3 pieces in there at the beginning, to go to these national portfolio days, meet with these admissions counselors. Their advice is priceless. It will help you. They'll look at your work and sometimes see things in your work or even in your sketchbook that you didn't even know you possessed. And it really helps you to get on the path, especially if you want to apply to that school. Okay, so you really have to just take hold of all the resources that are around you to build your portfolio. And then finally, when it gets to that point, you just go for it. You send out your portfolio, and you see the feedback that comes back.
So it sounds like at Syracuse that having that foundational experience is very crucial to being prepared in admissions. So I guess what does Syracuse sort of focus on in terms of looking at portfolios and looking at those applications from their students? And is there any advice for students who may be looking forward to that to have a certain art foundation or maybe certain other art experience?
Well, we are a university, okay? So we have 9 colleges. The College of Art, Visual and Performing Arts is just one of those colleges. So there's 2 parts to your process. So you actually come into the first door that you will come into is your art supplement. So is the portfolio. But at the same time, you are also filling out an application for the university. So that's general admissions. So I personally look at the applications for the College of Visual and Performing Arts, the general admissions application, only after it comes to me from the College of Visual and Performing Art. So once the portfolio is looked at and everything is decided on that end for their major, it comes to me for the application review. So what we're looking for is 2 things, okay? What we're looking for is a strong portfolio, but also, even if technically the student is not there, if the student has a great thought process, creative ideas that we can see coming out, that's just as important as well. So that's done through the College of Visual and Performing Arts. They look at the portfolios, and then once they look at the portfolios, which the portfolios are between 12 to 20 pieces, what they're looking for is they want a well-rounded portfolio. They would like to see some observational pieces, but also pieces of personal statement, who you are as a person and what you're interested in. And maybe it's part of a concentration. And then maybe a quarter of that portfolio is your actual focus. Maybe that might be fashion design. It could be painting, or it could be whatever, but it could be a mix. Your portfolio doesn't have to be all painting. Okay, it could be a mix. Most important is that personal that personal statement in your work. That really does tell us, that you're thinking outside the box. The observational sketches are there to see not only your technical skills, but your foundation, because a lot of observation comes out of your foundation classes that you have taken. And then the other thing we look at on my end, which is general admissions, is we look at your GPA. We look at everything you've done outside the classroom. It's great that you're doing art and that you want to be an artist, but what else? Who are you? We know you're somebody beyond just being that artist too. You might be somebody who works in your community. You might have a passion for, helping disabled children. Maybe you want to go into art therapy. We love to know about all those kind of things. So it's basically a holistic process, because all those things come together. But the main door that you come in first is the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and it is the portfolio.
Mm-hmm. And for those personal pieces and other pieces as well, if they seem to be abstract and students find that they need to explain their bit more, is there maybe a writing portion to the portfolio?
Yes, on the slide room, there is a writing portion right next to each of the pieces. So you can explain that process. And they are very open to you explaining that process. And there is an artist statement that you have to submit to. So that definitely goes along with it. But next to each, if you're familiar with slide room, which a lot of universities and art colleges use, standalones, they do give you room next to each piece of artwork, not only to explain the medium, the size, but a short statement to, this is part of a concentration and, what it's all about.
Is the curriculum at Syracuse more open in terms of medium? Is maybe like there is a specific medium that they should be focusing on, or is it very, open to make that well-rounded artist?
All right. Well, so the College of Visual and Performing Arts is our second largest on the campus, second largest college. There's about 1,845 students, and it's made up of 6 schools and departments. And for the visual, which we're talking about today, it's art, design, and transmedia. There's 3 departments in there. So each one of these has their own foundation. Okay, so, and each one of these has their own majors. So for instance, in the art program, there's a Bachelor of Science in Studio Arts, there's a BFA in Studio Arts, and there's also a concentration with art education. And then if you go, and there's illustration as well. If you go into the design department, there's fashion design, communication design, interior and environmental design, and also industrial design. And last but not least, there is transmedia, which is film, art photography, art video, and computer art and animation. Each one of these departments, these 3 departments that are located in the School of Visual Arts, have their own foundations and their own curriculums that allow the student, they're not cemented to their major. Okay, I mean, if you really want if you're really undecided and you really want to explore a bit more, I would always recommend a student to go for a BFA in Studio Arts, and then they could find their focus, and if they want to, they could transform into more of a disciplined focus. Not that BFA Studio Arts isn't a disciplined focus, because it is, but it allows you to say, you know, maybe you're doing the BFA in Studio Arts and you say to yourself, well, I really want to go into film now. Okay, you can intra-transfer into film from there. So it allows the student to really explore and find out what their direction is. The other thing is, we don't believe in making art in a bubble. Because we have 9 colleges of excellence and we're a top-tier research institution, it's important to know that built into each one of the art programs are free choice academic electives. And those free choice academic electives allows the student to maybe enhance their direction with academics that they could build onto their career. For instance, a film major might want to get a marketing minor, you know, or maybe even an entrepreneurship minor. A fashion design major might also do the same thing, but if they're planning to open up an atelier maybe in France or move to France, they might want to minor in French. So that's what we call not making art in a box. And then again, you don't even have to minor. You could just disperse all your academic electives wherever you want. But the big thing is, it's free choice to you to build that, because you're in this university of excellence that's globally inspired by the community of the university, and the fact that we have 7 centers abroad really adds to that. The degrees we offer in VPA are critical to the world, and because of this, we're committed to the education of cultural leaders, you know, so we really want to build upon that while you're in the art school.
And you mentioned that, you know, Syracuse is a research institution. So I believe that within your time studying, there may be a lot of pre-professional opportunities that students can take, like internships. Can you sort of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so first of all, the classes are very small. So they could start out as 25 in a class, and by the time you're a sophomore, junior, and senior, they're down to 60%. So you can have like 10 to 15 students in your class. That means you get to know your faculty very well. Your faculty are connected, okay? And so if you want to learn about internships or opportunities to participate in things outside the classroom that give you experience, it lies there. The other important thing is, in each one of our colleges, we have a career services office. So you would go in there and say, I'd like to get, you know, I'm going back to LA and I would like to know if there's anybody there, maybe an alumni that could help me with an internship or lead me in that direction. So all those opportunities are there. You just have to advocate for yourself. It is highly encouraged on campus to build upon your experience outside the classroom. Okay, that's really, really important. And we have 94% job placement right now. Okay, within 6 months. That's very high for the arts. And we just made, just recently, the list of, so we just made the list for the best schools for art majors for 2016-17. The pay scale college salary report came out, and we're still on that list for the best schools of art for art majors, because it's real world experience and application that you're getting for your arts. And there's a quote I just read, and creativity is essential for the success in today's career landscape. IBM surveyed more than 1,500 CEOs from around the world who believe that more than rigor, management and discipline, integrity, or even vision, successfully navigating and increasing a complex world requires creativity. This is what I tell parents too, you know, when they're so apprehensive about their son or daughter going into an art-based career, that our CEOs of some of the biggest companies are looking for people who think creatively.
And are students able to, when they want to speak with you or ask you questions, to schedule times to meet in the Sherman Oaks office?
Yes, they are. So we offer interviews. They are not required, but they're highly encouraged. And during that time that we interview, it's literally a get to know you session and a meet and greet. Now, these are only offered to seniors, but if you're a junior and you want to meet with me, I will either arrange to talk to you via Skype, like I'm doing right now with you, or FaceTime, or if I have the time, I'll meet them at the office. Encourage the seniors to definitely get an interview, because 9 times out of 10, when they sit down and they interview with me, they have questions. So I allow 10 minutes of that interview to go into questions that they have. And some of those questions can also be about, you know, I'm unsure of my major. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? How should I position my application? You know, when you have 2 choices, we have 2 choices and a Syracuse chooses at the bottom. These are very valid questions. And not only are we admissions officers, but we're advisors too. So we really want to take care, especially for California, since we realize that you're traveling so far to go to this university. We want you to feel completely like fulfilled with all the necessary information that should be given to you. We are very proud of the fact that we have every year from 180 to 200 students attending Syracuse University from the Southern California area alone. Mm-hmm. So that says something about our admissions process here. So definitely encourage students to reach out to me.
I think that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you would like to comment or mention or give advice to our students?
I think when you're looking at colleges, first thing I tell you, or the whole experience, the college application process can be overwhelming and daunting. And I think first thing you need to do is take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. You're going to end up somewhere that you're going to be very happy with. So don't let all these pressures, you have to find the right school and this and that, get to you. Just go through the steps and go through the process. Keep yourself very organized, okay? Create folders of different colleges. And I think one of the best advice I can give a student who's interested in a university or an art college is be in touch with your admissions counselor. Show a demonstrated interest for that university or college, because believe it or not, they want to get to know you, okay? Especially in the out-of-state schools. We love when you reach out to us and show us the interest. So that is something, and that really helps the students because they feel supported when they get that information. But just take that deep breath. You're going to end up in the place where you belong, okay? It's all about the fit. It really is. It's all about the fit. It's not because Susie went there or Mike went to that school. It's where you feel best. That's why it is important, if you can, go to the campus and step foot on it. But I understand sometimes people cannot travel. They don't have the financial means to travel. Maybe just that one time when they actually come to campus. So then take the virtual tours. Learn as much as you can. Ask the admissions counselor, can you be connected to somebody that lives in your area that actually attends the university? Things like that. We're here to help you. You know, we want to ease that process. We understand how overwhelming it can be. So just take that deep breath and be organized and just take it one step at a time. It's a building process. Also, start early. Start like in the summer, okay, before your senior year, or even in your junior year. As an artist, you should be attending portfolio days, NACAC PVA fairs, any kind of information sessions that are offered in your area. And then throughout the summer, if you can have a chance to travel, that's good. If not, starting the fall, early fall, but you're going to be starting a lot of your applications in the fall. And then, of course, your FAFSA and a lot of things, and it comes up quickly.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me about Syracuse and your own experience in art. You are helping out my community, my school community, so much, and my visual artists, and they are grateful from me, through me, to you. But yes, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me.
And thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak with you as well. It really is important that students know that they are supported by the admissions counselors, especially the out-of-state ones in the community. And I look forward to maybe meeting you in person when I come to visit your school.
Yes, for sure. I will be looking out for that. Well, I hope to see you soon, and have a great day.